Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. The Twilight Twenties have arrived. Welcome, everyone. We are about to begin in a few minutes. We are waiting until everyone is in. Thank you for joining us. You already may use the chat and let us know where you're from. So please use the chats and tell me where you're from. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Is the sound okay? Yes, welcome Belgium, of course. Rick, Ghent, Antwerp, Belgium. Happy to have you here. This webinar is in English because we supposed to also have people from all over the world. Hello, Sonia. Amsterdam is here. Yeah, please use the chat. In a minute, we are starting this webinar. My name is Maurice van der Kant. I'm the host of this webinar. I'm the CEO of Assembly Speakers and the founder of bookingworldspeakers.com. Bookingworldspeakers.com is a community platform for purpose-driven speakers who have the focus to add value to people and the society. Welcome everyone for the people who join us. Hi Gert, hi Harry. I know a couple of people. Thank you for having you in this webinar. It will be a very interactive webinar, and please let me invite Rick to join us, because he's a guy with many stories, sometimes with very long stories. So we really need the time to.
You need to do this from time to time, okay?
Yeah, and even you can also maybe we must share what the people in the webinar can do when it's too much for them.
Yeah. Shoot the puppy.
Thank you for having you here, Rick. And it was, of course, a great pleasure that, well, I think it was the second webinar that we did, that you sent me a beautiful message. And it really, I would like to thank you again and tell us what that message was, because
I mean, we if you're not careful, you can fill your whole day watching one webinar after the other. But what I loved about this webinar is I started watching, and then I watched it for an hour, and then I said, come on, continue, don't stop now. Because it was so interactive with the public, so interactive with the speaker, that I send you the message, hey, Maurice, I want to do the same, man, invite me. And I'm not going to do a presentation. But let's have a conversation, the two of us, but especially with all those people that are on the list there on the right.
But I don't think you asked me to do it the same. I asked you because you gave a heartwarming compliment of and that really hit my heart, and I was really welcoming that. And I thought, wow, that I get such a warm message from you out of the sky. So again, thank you. Tell everybody, for the people who
we go back a long time already, Maurice. No? Yeah. Okay.
It's always, and also that's the focus of this webinar. It's human to human. How can I connect speakers and share the life lessons of speakers to behind the screen for the people at both ends of the world. How can we help them, motivate them, share the positive message? And we did a little briefing last week, or beginning of this week, and we were only talking, so we can go and we can start. Who is Rick Vera for the people who don't know you?
Okay, and I have to be short. Okay.
Yeah.
In the first place, I'm a father and a grandfather, and I'm a grandfather more than ever before, because in between 1995 and the 13th of March, my life was filled with traveling around the globe. The last 10 years, traveling around the globe to be on stage and tell people about the new normal is approaching us. The new normal is coming our way. Before that, I used to run organization. I used to be CEO of organizations, large international organizations. So when I talk to business people, when I talk to managers, I know what I'm talking about, and I know how difficult it is on the other side. I'm on the easy side. I'm on the side on stage, I can inspire, I can tell whatever I want to talk about. But it's the other side that actually has to do something with the things I talk about and how I inspire them. So, and for the last 10 years, that's what I've been doing, traveling the world, telling business people to prepare for the day after tomorrow, because business people tend to be very busy with today, a little bit with tomorrow, but they forget to focus on the day after tomorrow. And I said, beware, because the day after tomorrow is going to be somewhere in 2030, 2035, but it's going to be here faster than you would ever have expected. Now, I didn't expect that it would be this fast. So the new normal is not going to wait for 2030, 2035. It's going to be here a little bit sooner than that.
Yeah. I experienced the same. Last year, my mission was really focused on how can I bring more happiness, from purpose to happiness. Beginning this year, I wrote in many articles about how can we improve humanity. And we went in lockdown, and people became human again. A lot of giving. It was beautiful to see. Let us start, of course, because there's so much to tell about this, and maybe you want to go first to the past.
Yeah, okay. The past is what I was saying, that people and business people should have focused on the day after tomorrow. And what I see today is that companies that were already in that mood of at least trying to prepare that day after tomorrow, they were better prepared for what was happening and what is being happening and what is still happening right now. The C word, the Corona word, the COVID word, they were better prepared. It's those companies that were, and what I like to call that, eating the remains of the old business models. They were living in, not even in today, they were living in the past. And they said, yeah, but why would we change? Because we live in a business model, we still make money with the business model. What I see now is that those companies are struggling. The companies that were already having that mindset, okay, let's focus on what we should do in 2030, 2035, and how we still can be relevant for people, society in 2030, 2035, those companies are better prepared. So that was the past. And the reasons why companies didn't really focus on the day after tomorrow, there were a couple of reasons. The first reason was we don't have the time. We're always tangled up in what we need to do today. There's always problems, today's problems. And you know what? We're going to focus on the day after tomorrow. Not today, because today we're busy. And the day after they're busy, and the day after they're busy. But the most important reason was, and that's the classical paradox. How can you rebuild a plane while the plane is still in the air? Right. That was a question I got very often. Okay, Rick, you talk about that we have to develop a new business model for 2030, 2035, but that means that we have to rebuild our business model while we run our business model. How the heck do we do that? And to be honest, that's not an easy one to do. But at this moment, most of the planes are more or less on the ground, literally, but most companies are in a lockdown as well, or were in a lockdown as well. So there was no better moment to rebuild your plane than right here, right now. And make sure that once the economy restarts, and I'm going to tell you, it's not going to restart in the old normal. Once it restarts, that you at least restart your business with that new plane. So until now, I was talking about 2030, 2035. The only difference is that I'm now talking about tomorrow, literally. Yeah.
And you talk about the 20s, the Twilight 20s.
Twilight 20s, yeah.
The Twilight 20s. How can you connect with this period?
I was talking about the Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone is that zone because what we saw in the past until COVID, I call it the meteorite. Yeah? It's a meteorite that planet, just like the previous meteorite that struck the planet and then it killed the dinosaurs. No, it didn't kill the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs got extinct because the meteorite changed the environment. And it's exactly the same. This meteorite called COVID-19 has struck planet Earth and it is changing the environment.
Yeah.
And
immediately, because we
it's changing us.
Yeah, but I see also people from India at the moment, and I connect with them again. The smog in Delhi, it's gone in seconds. So, and somehow we receive the message.
It changes the environment completely, and so companies need to realize that. Because of that, we're entering that zone now in which the old normal, the dinosaurs, are dying. And I can tell you, they're going to die because they're not adapted to this new environment. And there is no new normal. There is no new ecosystem. The new ecosystems is up to us to create new ecosystems. So it's not dark anymore, but there's no light yet. So we're in this Twilight Zone. And the Twilight Zone is the zone in which the old normal is dying and in which the new normal is not there yet. The new normal is not, we all hope that post-COVID, we're going to enter the new normal, as if there is a room, we open the door and we walk into that room. But there is no room. But we can't go back to the old normal as well, because there is no more old normal. So we're in that Twilight Zone. In the Twilight Zone, the zone of monsters and creeps. It'll be frightening. It'll be dark. I can't tell exactly what companies need to do. Exactly. I can't tell them this is the blueprint for the new normal. This is what you need to do. What I know is that we have to format it together. Because if we just wait and think, okay, now let's enter the new normal, then it's not going to happen. And then either you can be afraid of it, or you say, wow, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I hope that in 10 years' time, we're going to look back at this period and say, we grabbed the occasion, we grabbed the opportunity, and we not only reconstructed our own business, but by doing that altogether, we created a new ecosystem, which is way better than the old ecosystem before COVID-19. And I really hope that. And I think it can be done.
Yeah, I live in Belgium. I'm Dutch. You are from Belgium, of course. And we never talk about politics in our webinars but the thing, what we do see is the differences between the countries, what they do about it. And of course, you're talking about together. We have to solve and create this new ecosystem. That's the reason also why my webinars are most of the time in English. We want to create that globally. What are your thoughts about it?
We see a double reaction. First of all, if I talk about the old normal, then you talk about a global ecosystem. It was a global economy. Now, the global economy has come to a standstill because of this virus. Because of this virus, at a certain moment, 4 billion people were in a lockdown. So the whole worldwide economy all of a sudden came to a standstill. And what you see now is, as a first result of that not all economies restart at the same moment and at the same pace. Some countries are already up and running again, and some countries are not yet up and running again, and some countries still are in the middle of a lockdown. So the global economy as we've known it is not going to restart all of a sudden as a global economy. So what you see is now that many countries have that reflex to become a country again and have borders again. I mean, there's a border in between the Netherlands and Belgium again. I had something because I'm in a board of directors in a Dutch company, so I had to travel to have a board meeting last week, but I had to show my papers to get back into my own country. For the first time ever, I had to show across the border again. So we have that reflex, okay, we become a country again. But at the same time, we have been in a lockdown as people, but it's not like Robinson Crusoe on an island. We were Robinson Crusoes in our own islands, but we were connected. So at the same time, there's this reflex of countries to become a country again. And at the same time, people are more connected than ever before. You connect with people in India, and there's people in India here as well. I've never been more connected than right here, right now. So on one hand, citizens become global and countries become countries again. So again, Twilight Zone. Very different forces that are going to fight each other. People are connected, and we connect with people that have the same values. It's about values. I like to connect with people that believe that we could change the world. I like to connect with people that believe that we should care about people and planet more in that new environment, in that new ecosystem. We try to connect with people with the same values worldwide. I don't care where they come from. I care, do they share my values, and are they willing to be a dreamer like me and try to change the world?
Yeah.
On the other hand, we have our countries that try to, and I'm not against that, because I think that one of the things that we need to do in that new economy is never have that global economy again. Let's face it, the global economy of growth. We already knew that this at a certain moment would end. We cannot run a global economy of growth, because that growth is not endless. So at a certain moment, that had to come to, hey, here it stops. And we knew that was going to happen. And I think that if we look at the new normal, we have to look at local economies.
And you talk about growth, of course, business-wise. But what I discovered, of course, that people are more searching for their own why, their own purpose. Yeah. So growth inside, I think is necessary, that we help those people to find their purpose, their own story. I'm in the story business of connect stories. That's my mission and my passion. Yeah, and we can learn. You talk about India and more international people in this webinar. We can so much learn from one another, from our cultures, our history, of course. And
absolutely. And history is important. If you look at talking about history, if you look at this period, I call it a tipping point. And I was already talking about that in my book, Managers Day After Tomorrow. I was already talking about we're entering a zone of a tipping point. The whole society is tipping over into a new society. And I think that what COVID-19 has done is just speeding up that tipping point. And if you think about it, it's very comparable to what happened in the mid of the Middle Ages. We had a global climate issue because we had like 20 years of what we called an ice time. The climate changed for like 20 years. At the same time, we had the plague. Yeah, people died all over the globe. Pretty similar to what's happening now. Climate change, a plague, a pandemic. We had the change of an economical model, more or less the same that what's happening now, and we had quite a lot of migration, and we're going to see migration and more migration than ever before in the next coming years as well. So it's very similar to what happened in the Middle Ages. But what happened in the Middle Ages took 2-3 centuries in between the old normal and the new normal. And the new normal was the Renaissance. So this is not the first time that humanity traveled through a twilight zone. The only thing I hope is that it's not going to last for 2 or 3 centuries, that we're going to do it faster than we did it in the Middle Ages.
Yeah. Connecting with our webinar, this is our 9th webinar already. It will be our 11th next week. Same time at 10 o'clock. Yeah. We have 𝐸𝐤 𝐕𝐞𝐫𝐞, one of the famous futurists of the Netherlands, and connecting with Vika Smalkani from Singapore. And 𝐸𝐤, was talking about the new Renaissance is coming. So let us start the 10 things what companies do today.
I've written a white paper. At the very beginning of COVID-19, because companies. I saw that many companies started to freeze the company. We freeze the company. We hope we survive the COVID, and then we get our company up and running again. And I said, that's the worst thing you can do, because you freeze your dinosaur, and you're going to wake up a dinosaur in an environment that's no longer fit for dinosaurs. So then companies asked me, okay, Rick, what can we do instead of freezing the dinosaur? So I've written down 10 things that they can do. And the first thing is data. In the new normal, that was already happening. We're going to enter a world that is being run by big data, artificial intelligence, and robotization. And that is not going to change. That is even going to be more the case than we could ever imagine. So if, as a company, you want to live and grow and explore the world in the new normal, it's all about data. So what you need to do today is, where are my sensors that feel the outside world, and where I collect data? What are my fingers? What are my eyes? What are my ears of my organization? Where are they? And are they good enough? Do I collect enough data? Where is my brain? Where do I collect my data? Where are my data pools? And how do I process my data? Can't I do it better? Because data is nothing. You have to process data into information. And then how fast travels my information to my applications, to what I do with the information? This is really something. Take your time. If companies have a CRM system, your sales are in lockdown, your salespeople, they can do the most important thing ever. That is, make sure that all data in your CRM system are correct. Because I know I've been running companies, and I'm still involved in consulting companies. If I look at CRM, in most of the cases, CRM is a mess. But it's about your customers. Now, get that right. So data. You have to turn your company into a data company. The second is roast your 2025 strategy. I know most companies had a 2025 strategy. Like most companies had a 2020 strategy. I was looking forward to 2020. I never thought that 2020 would be like this, but most companies had a 2020 strategy. In 2020, everything would be amazing because all their plans were 2020. Now, all of a sudden, that was 2025. Roast it. Forget it. But I said, don't burn it, roast it. That means that take out the building blocks, the right building blocks, because I know that in your strategy 2025, there were very good building blocks. take them out, use them, and then forget about your 2025 strategy because it was developed for a world that's no longer going to be here. So that's the second. Data, roast it, then, and that's a difficult one. Become an anti-fragile company. And I'm not going to explain the whole concept of anti-fragility. I recommend everybody read Taleb's book, Anti-Fragile, because this book, I think it was written in 2010, that is 10 years ago, is important to read. And it says...
What's the title of the book again?
Anti-Fragile.
Yeah.
And anti-fragile is you don't want your company to be fragile because then when something bad happens, you fall, you break. But most companies then thought we have to be a robust company. We have to try to make processes and procedures and KPIs and balanced scorecards and, all that drill. And then we build the castle and then we protect it against that evil outside world, we control it.
Mm-hmm.
And now COVID-19 has shown us that we cannot control the unexpected because that's why we call it the unexpected.
Yeah.
So he is talking about the concept of anti-fragility. And anti-fragility is a company that loves this type of unexpected events because they get stronger by those events. They outrun competition because of that. And how do you build it? And how do you build it? For me, how do you build an anti-fragile company is pretty simple. Try to get rid of everything that slows you down. That's the first. Silos, hierarchy, all that stuff, get rid of it right now. And the second thing that you need to do is to change your timeframes. And I think that digital can help in that. I'm consulting a couple of companies now, and all of a sudden, things that took months before, now we do it in days. And that's how you have to think all of a sudden. Why in bringing a new product to the market, why would that take 18 months?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because we think we can control it. Don't make it 18 months. Maybe you can do it in 18 days.
Yeah.
And then bring it to the market. And if it works, scale it. And if it doesn't work, kill it and do something else. So think like the rats. If the dinos died, the species that survived were those little rats. And why? Because there were plenty of those rats. They had very short life cycles and they were curious. They were trying to find out new stuff all the time. So think big, start small, and act fast. So that's the third, be an anti-fragile company.
Before you go on, thank you, Charles, for sharing the link to the book you were talking about.
Okay, thank you.
If you have questions for Rick, you start asking them so we can interact with a few questions along the way.
And to be honest about the book, what Taleb does is he describes the problem. He doesn't really come up with solutions. So I'm trying to write a book now on not on anti-fragility, but anti-fragility is a part of that book. How do you, and that's the last thing I want to talk about later in that list, is building ecosystems. I think that the answer to all what is happening and how companies should act is about building ecosystems. An ecosystem as a company, but also trying to participate in the new ecosystems that will no doubt arise out of the ashes of what's been left.
Yeah, and it's the new beginning, a new building. Yesterday I had a Zoom call with a guy from Silicon Valley about, how can we create and make things better? It's never perfect. And it's like
experiment and keep experimenting.
Yeah, like Simon Sinek has. It's an infinite game. There's no end. But take it as a game to and focus on the other. I think focus on the other, not on yourself, on the other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the next.
Yeah, that I'm talking, and that was my point number 9.
Oh.
No, my point number 9, and thank you for that. And people that know me and have seen my keynote in the last couple of months know that this is a theme in my keynotes. And I'm so glad that was already a theme in my keynotes, because I didn't invent it because of COVID. I was talking about it before COVID. I said we have to develop a new KPI in companies. And the new KPI is the net curiosity score. We need, as a company, to be passionately curious and allow our company and our people in our company to be passionately curious. And especially now that we're going to travel this Twilight Zone, if you're not curious, so if you think that assumptions about what we're going to find is going to help you, forget it, because most of your assumptions are based on what you've learned in the old normal, but the old normal is no longer there. So you have to take the building blocks, try to create something new, and because we don't know what that new is going to be, you can only find out by being curious. So as a company, and that was my point number 9, but now it's my point number 4.
So can I connect with it? Curiosity. Yeah. I just before the webinar, I saw your grandchild. And of course, focusing on them.
Calling me through Messenger.
Yeah, focusing on them, and of course they still have to start study. Should that not be a class for them to keep that curiosity as a child in them, to keep the creativity?
Now we're talking education. Now you come. I mean, when I talk about that, then people get either very enthusiastic or very mad at me. But I find it so amazing that in school, what we do in school is we try to get curiosity out of children for 18, 20, 25 years. And then we enter business life. And then the first thing that business life tells you is think out of the box.
Yeah.
Why do we first spend all that time, money, and energy on getting curiosity out of kids and to program them? And then we get them into organizations, and then they have to deprogram and try to think out of the box. Why don't we? All children are born passionately curious. Why don't we try to keep that? We don't even have to train them in doing that. The only thing that we need to do is keep them like that.
So put them directly in the company.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, in Silicon Valley, there's companies that do that. I've met a couple of guys, 15, 16-year-olds, that are in the Peter Thiel Fund. And the Peter Thiel Fund is they granted $100,000 a year to not go to high school or to not go to university and to start developing whatever they're dreaming about right here, right now. Don't waste your time because going to university is going to narrow down your mind. Use your curious kid's mind right here, right now. And I've met a couple of those guys, and amazing kids, but they've never been to university, and they might be changing the world.
Yeah. Beautiful. I saw some questions. Robert had a question, but Ingrid already answered that question. So Jeroen Bosman, curiosity score. So right, Rick. How should we
measure it? Yeah. Okay, I'm developing a new website, and one of the websites I'm developing is being called the netcuriosityscore.com. So netcuriosityscore.com is under development, and I'm first of all I'm writing that book, so I can't give it all away. But the 2 chapters in my book will be open chapters. That means that I'm going to use whatever you sent to me in my book, because I have to be curious as well. That is, I want to find out how you would measure it as well in your company. And for me, one of the things how you can measure it is how, the first thing, how good are my senses in my organization? How good do I sense what is happening in the outside world? How outside in am I instead of inside out? And how fast do I collect data? Do I process data? And do I send data back as information to my applications to learn even more? that is something you can measure. But I've been sent in already a couple of very good new insights that make me curious. So I developed this website. So in a short while, everybody will be able to send his or her ideas about the Net Curiosity Score. And I can tell you, you will be part of the book, and with your name as well. That's a promise. Yeah.
I love Ingrid, by the way, because she helps the other people to
yeah, Ingrid doing a good job. Yeah,
and just to share with Philip, try at the end to recap all the 10 points.
And I'll make sure that Maurice, that you can share the white paper as well.
Beautiful. Cool. We will do that. But Philip has another question. Don't we all want a great listener experience with a clear takeaway?
A listener experience with a clear takeaway. Philip, what do you mean with a clear takeaway? Do I have to? If you're expecting me to give you the silver bullet, I don't have a silver bullet. The only silver bullet I have is ecosystems. We have to format really new ecosystems, and we'll have to do that locally. I recommend every company to think about how do you create a new ecosystem around you, which is more local, more customer focused, more people focused, and more in tune with the planet. And for me, the most important takeaway for every company is the most important question ever that the company can ask. The most important question that the company can ask. And Ingrid, that is point number 6. Point number 6 is the most important question ever. And the most important question ever is, what would society miss if we were not around? Most companies cannot answer that question. But if you cannot answer that question, why the heck are you here? Why the heck would I give my time and attention to your company if you have no contribution in society and in my life? And I always give the same example, and Maurice, you're already smiling because you know what company I'm going to talk about. But who misses Thomas Cook? And if I can be in a room with 500 people, and I always ask when I do my keynotes, I always ask that question. And then I can tell you, nobody raises their hand. Nobody misses Thomas Cook. And I say, see, I rest my case. That's why they're no longer there. You don't even miss them. We're not there. So they had no reason to be there. But that is something really to think about, especially now, because I think that we all find out that we're way more aware of our environment and of the impact of companies in our life. What companies are wasting my time, are wasting my energy, are not contributing to my life, and which companies really do matter to me and make a difference in my life. That is the distinction that we're going to make in between companies that matter and companies that don't matter. And don't wait for your customers to do it, but ask yourself that all-important question: what would society miss? What would my customers miss if tomorrow I would not be there? And if the answer is nothing, that's bad news. Yeah.
We will send you all the URL, the website of your Net Curiosity website. We will do that. I think we are with 5. Are we? I think 5. Yeah, for the 10 points. 5 or
for the 10 points. Yeah. I'll make a short one because this is something, and one of you can most certainly find it on the internet and share it with the rest. But I still love those the rules of the garage, the HP rules of the garage. You know, if you travel to Silicon Valley, one of the things that everybody has to see once in his life is the world famous HP garage where it all started. It's still there. But there's rules of the garage. And there's that it's a set of 10 rules of the garage. It's like the startup mentality. And I think that when you create new ecosystems and the whole world is being wiped away and you have to restart it, the rules of the garage matter. And I want to pick out 2 of the rules of the garage. One of the rules of the garage is try to make a contribution every day. And if it doesn't contribute to society, it doesn't leave the garage. And I think that is so important. Try to contribute every day. Try to think, how do I contribute? But I have to contribute to society. And if it doesn't contribute to society, keep it in the garage. Don't even try to bring it into the world, because it's of no use. And then another rule of the garage is the one that judges whether it's a good idea or not is the customer. It's not you. You're not the judge whether this is a good idea or a bad idea. It's a good service or not. It's a good product or not. It's your customer. That's the second rule of the garage. So the rules of the garage, you can find it on the internet. You can share it most certainly. And it's in the white paper as well. So I'm not going to read all the rules of the garage. I'm going to skip to the next one, because I already talked about the most important question. Now, if you want to make sure that your people believe you, if you say, okay, I have an answer to that question, then the next answer is, why would your customers believe you? Why would your customers believe what you claim that you are? And if you again look at companies that made a difference in the last couple of weeks, it's companies that show their heart. And I love those abbreviations. The heart stands for, you have to be honest. You have to be ethical. You have to be authentic. You have to take your responsibility, especially now. You have to be transparent. So show your heart, because otherwise your customers will not believe you. That's another one, which is pretty important.
But
and then
sometimes, Rick, when you share that, we are transparent. We are open, we are human, then it's from the other side sometimes when I don't believe you.
Yeah, but it's not a matter of saying that you are. It's a matter of being it.
Yeah.
So I say, be hard, be honest, be ethical, be authentic. Authenticity is not something that you can learn to be. You are authentic or you're not. Simple as that. Be responsible and be transparent. It's not pretend that you are or tell that you are. I got that Maya Angelou quote. What people remember of a company is not what you do, it's not what you say, but how you make people feel. And you can only make people feel by being it and not by pretending that you are. And I think that I know that all of us will make a distinction between companies that are like what I just described or pretend that they are. And we're going to kill the pretenders. I can tell you.
A question of Bart, what would society miss if we were not around? Isn't that supposed to be your mission or vision?
Can you repeat that? Because
Bart Wouters asked us, what would society miss if we were not around? Isn't that supposed to be your mission or vision?
Yeah, but I can tell that most companies don't really have an answer to that. And maybe this is the moment to really think about that answer and be honest with yourself. Do you really have an answer? Because if the answer is something that all companies claim or that your direct competitor, I do that exercise quite a lot with companies, then come up with your mission and your vision, then I take away the name of the company and I put the name of the direct competitor of that company. And I say, would that be their mission and vision as well? And in most of the cases it is, yeah, more or less. And I say, okay, so if you're not around, then your direct competitor is still around to help your customers to serve more or less the same. Where's your point of difference? And if you find your point of difference, why would customers believe that these are your points of difference? And they will only believe you if it matters in their life and not in your life. It's not It's not, you're not there to make profit. Profit is the result of that you're there to make a difference in people's life.
Yeah. So sorry, there are so many questions.
You know, but what I'm talking about is not new at all, but it matters more than ever in after and during this standstill of society. We're more aware and we're more perceptive for all that stuff than ever before as consumers.
Thank you, Rick. If we cannot answer all the questions, Rick is happy to answer them after the webinar. But
yeah, absolutely. And thank you for all those questions. And thank you, Charles. Charles has already, and thank you, man. I know him. He's already shared the rules of the garage. Thank you, Charles.
Yeah. And Shane has a question. In your view, how can we, as individuals and collectively, ensure the future is better, environmental and socially aligned than the past? Yeah.
I've written, I post quotes quite a lot lately, and it's not going to happen just like that. It'll be hard work for all of us. I think that this is a kind of plea, dreamers of the world, like me, like you, let's unite and let's spread our vision, let's spread our ideas, let's spread our dream like a virus. We've learned how to fight a virus. Now let's think reverse. Let's turn it upside down. We want to spread a virus. So what do we need? We need patient zero. I can be patient zero. Maurice, you can be patient zero. Whoever here can be patient zero. So be a patient zero. Second, we need a couple of super contaminators. Try to be a super contaminator. Try to contaminate as many people as you can. Try to create places where many people come together so that you create places where you can contaminate many people. And adapt your virus all the time. I mean, a virus is a virus because it adapts. It is not, this is the truth. It is making adaptations all the time to keep on spreading. That's how we have to spread our virus. And I think that we can do that, spread the virus.
But in collaboration with all together, with humans together, of course.
Yeah, and you will see that it's contagious. People like to dream, and we all like to dream about a better world. And it starts with dreaming. If you don't have the dreamers, then it will never happen. Then I can come to the next point, and the next point is we need people, and we need more people that don't see things as they are, but see things as they can become. I love that. That's a quote I watched that quote, and you can never guess why. Where? It was not in a business book. I was watching Cinderella with my grandkids, the movie, you know, the Walt Disney movie. And the fairy godmother, at the certain moment, she meets Cinderella, and she says to Cinderella, hey, child, you have to imagine things as they can become and not see things as they are. And I thought, this is exactly what we need. We need people that take the leftovers of the old economy, of the old normal, take them in their hands and say, what can I make with this? Because we cannot create anything new. We have to work with what's been left behind and create something better than what we had in the past. And that is a Cinderella principle. So the Cinderella principle is in my list. It's imagine things as they can become and not as they are. And come on, that's a nice thought. If we can spread that idea,
beautiful,
and then start doing it, of course.
Learn from Disney, as always. Learn from Disney.
Yeah, learn from Disney. Yeah.
Before I come back to another question, let's proceed with the point, because we are all very curious, of course.
Yeah.
So,
hey, Arend, long time no see, man. Sorry. Yeah.
So we are with point 6 now.
Yeah. I'm reading a question.
The
Arendt says statement: aim for speed over elegance. I fully agree. It's all about speed, and elegance is something that it puts something in the market and see what happens, and then if it works, then you can make it elegant. If you want to make it elegant before you put it in the world, it takes you way too long. And you will never know whether it's going to work or not, because you're going to try to, have that 80% and put it in the market, and then you can add that 20%. If you want it 100% before you put it into the market, you'll never launch it, because that last 10-20% will take you so much time and energy that you're way too late. So to answer that question,
sure.
I was going through my list. Another part in my list is write a plan that's not a plan. You cannot write a 2025 plan. I'm involved now in a number of companies because I'm not on stage, so I have time now to consult companies, and I love to do it, especially in these times now. And then, okay, let Rick help us to write a plan. And I said, I can't help you to write a plan. We have to write a couple of scenarios. Scenario 1, Scenario 2, Scenario 3, Scenario 4, and then all the time check which scenario we're going to follow. And it might be that after a couple of weeks, we switch from one scenario to another, or have to write another one. And that is close to what I wrote in my book. It is like we built cathedrals in the Middle Ages, and we go back to history and back to the Middle Ages, sorry for that. But when we started building a cathedral, there was no plan. You can try to imagine that you built the Antwerp Cathedral, but there was no plan. We started to build. And while we were building, we discovered new building techniques. And instead of saying they don't fit the plan, there was no plan. So it was easy. You adapted your plan. So the plan was a couple of scenarios, and you built one scenario on top of the other. That's why it starts like a Roman cathedral and ends up like a Gothic cathedral in the end. And I love that idea. That is how we have to travel to 2025, by starting doing it, not developing. And that's more or less what Arend van der Pol was talking about as well. Just start and build your cathedral, start building it, and adapt whatever you're building while you discover new stuff. So write a plan, but don't make it a plan. Make it a couple of scenarios, and do scenario planning, and have the guts to leave a scenario behind and to jump to another scenario. Nobody will say, yeah, but you're a manager that doesn't know where we're going to, because you have your why. You know what you want, how you want to contribute to society. That's your why. You want to build the highest cathedral in the world. Okay, that's your why. But how you're going to build that is your execution. And your execution, it is fast. Start small and act fast.
Yeah. But it's again, one of the questions was starts with your why. It's to find that why, what really resonates for other people. Again, for adding value. Let's proceed. We have another 10 minutes, Rick. And again, we will answer all your questions when we don't do that in the webinar. We will do that after the webinar for sure. So I
wanna zoom into one more thing, that is ecosystems. I was talking about. I've already given a couple of elements. What is an ecosystem? That is, take your building blocks. Put your building blocks in a good old business model canvas. Okay, everybody knows a business model canvas. Put your building blocks, put your company structure and what you did in the past, in that old normal, put it in your business model canvas. And then take all the building blocks and put them as a pile on your table, like a pile of Lego blocks. And then, like Lego blocks, I love Lego masters, put it back together, create something wild and something completely different. And then build an ecosystem. And there's a couple of elements that you will need in an ecosystem. And either you can build it all by yourself, or you will have to partner up with a couple of other companies to help you because you miss a couple of building blocks.
Yeah.
And then you don't have the time to create them. So you have to find them with another company. Now, what are the building blocks that you need? And I compare it with the human body. The human body. First of all, you need a body, because otherwise I'm not human. So that's your infrastructure.
Yeah.
The second, and that's important, you need your senses. Okay, just imagine, now it's empty, but that I take this out of the microwave. When I take this out of the microwave, but I've never seen a microwave, I might think, oh, I'm thirsty, and I take this with my hand. It might be burning hot. So in my hand, there's sensors, and those sensors measure, hey, something is wrong. That's data. And then my data have to travel as fast as possible to my brain, where it's being collected and processed. So I have to have sensors, and I have to have a network. So if you build the company for the future, these are two things that you need to have. You need to have sensors. You need to have a network that makes data travel as fast and as swift and as free of noise to a central brain. So if my sensors senses something, and if there is no swift connection, then my data get lost. That would be bad. And then it is being collected in my brain. And when you collect it in your brain has to transform it as fast as you can into information. If your brain says, you know what, with those data, I don't believe those data, then you have a problem, because then you're burning your hand. If your brain says, I collect those data, but you know what, I'm going to write a report, and I'm going to send that report back to my hand in 2 weeks' time, then your hand is burning. So it is transforming into information and sending it back to your hand. And your hand is an application. And the application, the information to the application is let go. So what you need to be an ecosystem is you need sensors, you need a network, you need a central brain, and you need applications. And I've developed a model how you can build it and how you can transform your building blocks into into an ecosystem.
Back again, because you were moving with the glass and I was in it.
Okay, yeah.
I've moved myself. How many points do we have? Because I'm looking.
I think we're done. I had one more, and that's not something, but that's something to do at home. And Pascal, you're there, and you still remember it because I used it. Even I did a workshop for them, a couple of workshops. It's The Martian, the movie. If you have, we all have time now, I hope so. If you're not tangled up in one Zoom meeting after another Teams meeting. If you have the time, watch the movie, The Martian, because The Martian is all about what I've been talking about. It's the Hollywood movie of somebody that's left on Mars.
Is it on Netflix? Is it on Netflix?
I don't think it's on Netflix, but there's always ways, ask your kids, they know how to do it.
True.
Yeah. But it's a brilliant movie about innovation, and by the urge of innovating. He's left on Mars. It'll take 4 years before he can get rescued if people know that he's still alive, and he's got food for 50 days. That's the problem. That's more or less the situation that many companies are in for the moment. There's no rescue out there. You have to do it by yourself, and your resources are limited. And you have to work with the leftovers. He has to work with everything that's been left on Mars. That's the only thing he has. And then he says, you have to start with the first problem and act and solve the first problem. And then you take the second problem, and then you take the third problem. And it's also a movie about how contagious this virus is. At a certain moment, he calls himself the space pirate. Why does he call himself the pirate? Because he breaks all the NASA rules. Because the NASA rules were made for normal circumstances. But he's in an in the unexpected, like we are for the moment. So forget the rules of the game, because the game has changed. So he calls himself the pirate, and then he starts to contaminate all others, the crew that's going back to Earth, and then he even contaminates NASA, and NASA starts to break all the rules. I'm not going to
Watch the movie.
yeah, but
Watch the movie.
watch it, please, and watch it once or twice. Was the first time as a movie, and the second time, thank you, Pascal. Pascal is already sharing it, I think. And it's on Netflix in the UK, I see, so maybe it's on Netflix here as well. But really watch that movie and watch it the second time from the point of view of this is about innovation.
Thank you.
And if you have a team of people and you want to convince them to innovate, watch the movie together.
We are all going back to the offices, so we asked the managers to show that movie to the employees. Two corrections. One from India, for me, it's very important. Talk about the discussion between lives and livelihood in the crisis. Where should our priorities lie in our day after tomorrow? I think it's a beautiful question.
And in between what? Because I don't see the question here.
Yeah, between the lives and livelihood in this question. So where are our priorities as human beings?
I think we have rediscovered what real life is all about. I think that it's my conclusion of the last couple of weeks for myself. It's very personal, but I've never seen more clear than now what is really of value for my life and what's not that valuable at all. We have been chasing quite a couple of things that we now discover that are side issues and not real issues, but there were side issues with a very good PR, and we believed that they were important. And I think that for me, this is the main conclusion in post-COVID. As a company, try to focus on those things that matter for people. It matters for you, then it's going to matter for people. And
the reason why I'm asking you this question, of course, you told me that you chose to get your family, and your grandfather, your father. So you share with me, but okay, my grandchildren are living in the same house.
We went into lockdown together. Because of a number of reasons. So we're living with 3 generations here at home now for, 7 or 8 weeks? It's the best time of my life, to be honest. So I have really rediscovered the real stuff in life. And I'm not going to say that I'm not going to whenever I have the opportunity to start traveling again, I'm going to do that. But I'm going to do it from a different mindset and with a different purpose. I can tell you.
And I'm not sure if I share with you, you can always scan your body as a speaker on the 22nd of May next week, on a Friday, and make an avatar of you. So you can still stay at home when you have to speak in Australia or Singapore and America, and use the VR glasses. So that's going to be a new creation, a new world.
I'm so curious now. Okay. So you increased my net curiosity score right now. Thank you.
That's good. But we must do it all together. There was one question, of course, what it means for leadership. Can we summarize it in short, Rick? Because I really would love.
I think what we need more mindful leaders now. I think that leaders should realize that not only their customers, but also their people are worried, are puzzled, have been going through all these motions, are more receptive than ever. They have been working harder than ever before, but all on their own. I think that this is the moment for leaders as well to show their heart but also to show a couple of new values. And I think that the new values are forgiveness, are compassion, and is love. I know it sounds flower power. It sounds flower power, but I think it is the case. I think that this is the moment where real leaders, mindful leaders, have to stand up and take not the lead, but to show people and to trust people, to show people that you trust them, and to trust people, and to show, okay, guys, we have to find out together what is the way. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but let's build it together. Again, like building that cathedral.
Everybody could be a leader, and what we now, maybe I shared it with you. I feel there is a new Gandhi coming up in India. Of course, we must solve the problems, what's happening in Africa, what we don't see yet. And of course, in India, it's about the same. Those two continents, we must be there for them, for those people. And to end this beautiful, inspiring webinar, please share a summarize or some takeaways what you can do today to make it happen together, Rick.
All right, I'll take, for me, the three most important ones is data. Because without data, you're lost. Without data, you can't even be curious, because curiosity is about how do I collect data. So data. The second is the anti-fragility. Be fast, be swift, start fast, act fast. Start small and act fast. That's so important. And the last is create ecosystems, local ecosystems. That is important. And ask yourself, and then I've got 4, ask yourself that one important question again, and I'm going to end with that. What would society miss if my company, if we were not around? That's the start of it all. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rick. Thank you so much for having you.
I see a lot of people that, it breaks my heart now. There's so many people that I haven't seen now for so many weeks, and really, we're more connected than ever before. But I miss seeing real people. I feel like an animal in the zoo. I get food, I get drink, I have a perfect life, but I miss the real environment of people meeting people. So let's meet as soon as we can.
Let's do it, all of us. Thank you again. Thank you, Rick, for sharing your thoughts about this topic.
And let's share the white paper. I'll send you the link.
Questions that we did not answer in this webinar. For our next webinar, it's Tuesday. It's General Peter van Uhm. He lost his own son. Talk about family. The day after he got his function as a general of the highest commander of the Dutch army. It will also be in English. It's we try to inspire them a new topic about how to serve people, how to add value to other people. That focus. And next, I already told about Vickers Malkani, the #1 wisdom coach, connecting with the futurist of the Netherlands, Ajit Bakas, and we go more into the spiritual life.
Hey guys, and thank you for all the. I'm reading the messages now, and I don't know whether you can see it, but it makes me emotional. So I'm not going to cry here, but thank you very much.
That's and again, it's together. It's about together.
Hey, dreamers of the world, let's do it. Come on.
Thank you, everybody. Check our website for the next webinars. Love you so much, and thank you for your time in being here. And
thank you, man.
We do it together. Thank you, Rick.
See you. Bye-bye.